Chapter 2, Adam and Eve, Genesis 2:5 through Genesis 3:25. Now this story begins with the creation of man, the same man who was raised from the sand, the one we call Adam. See, the Lord wasn't quite finished in all of his designing. See, he wanted to create a special place, a place we call the garden, and this garden we call Eden, a place made just for him. And in this garden, the Lord planted all kinds of seed vegetation, growing not only grasses upon the earth, but all kinds of bushes and trees, and sculpting out of the land both rivers and seas. In fact, he created 4 rivers, 2 existing still today. Those are the Tigris and Euphrates, and 2 more in that place. The other 2 were the Pishon and Gihon, kids. And after he finished the work in his garden, after he finished all of it, he placed man right there, the man we call Adam, right inside that space, the place we now call the garden. And right there, God spoke to man, and this is what he told him. He said, "As for all of these trees, my son Adam, you can eat from all of them, and I want for you to till the land. But make sure you follow my directions and listen to what I have planned. Now, you can eat from all of the trees except for one. Be sure to listen closely to me, son. See that tree right over there? It's called the tree of knowledge of good and bad. And if you obey my words, I'll tell you, son, I'll be glad. See, from every fruit-bearing tree to take from, you are free. But that one over there, don't you take, don't you eat. Now, son, hear my words, take my advice, listen to me. If you obey my words, then I will be well pleased." Now after the Lord was finally finished speaking with the man from the sand, the Lord thought to himself, "I have to find a fitting helper for the man." So the Lord cast a deep sleep on the one that we call Adam that day, and from one of his ribs he created one we call woman in this way. And she was the first woman, the one taken from the rib of Adam, you see. And when the Lord was finished with his creation, he brought her to him so that the 2 could meet. And after that, the Lord asked several words to his son, saying, after having named the rest of the creatures, "What will you call this one?" "I will call this one woman, because she is bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. And so I give this name to her, because I feel it suits her best. I will call her woman, because it is from man she was taken." And thus she became known as woman. And on that day God finished with all of his creating. Now the 2 of them were naked, Adam and the woman called Eve. And though they felt no shame, it was Eve who became naive. See, the serpent was the shrewdest of all creatures, and he duped her by telling her that she could do whatever pleased her. That is, he led Eve to believe that she could take from the tree, the one of knowledge of good and bad, and could have a bite from it to eat. She gazed over at the tree and saw it as a delight to her eyes, because it was an awesome sight to see. That was the reason why. So she walked over to the tree and grabbed a bite to eat, disobeying the Lord's command that to take from this tree they were not free. She then saw the tree to have provided a source of wisdom. So she gathered some fruit up and took some to her husband. And as the 2 of them ate, their eyes became opened, no longer blind, becoming wiser, no longer like 2 innocent children. And when the 2 of them gained sight, they perceived they were naked. And what happened next? Well, the 2 of them never waited to sew together fig leaves from a tree to cover their nudity. But the Lord of the earth, he found out eventually. See, when they heard the sound of the Lord roaming through the garden, the 2 of them hid among the trees because they were frightened. "Where are you?" cried the Lord from out of the heavens. And Adam called out to the Lord, "Yes, Lord, I am here. I'm hiding behind the trees, my Lord. That is where." I only hid because I perceived I was naked." And the Lord then looked down at his son, the man he had created. And to this God responded, "My son Adam, how did you know this? And what about that garment you are wearing? Did you sew it? Did you eat from the tree of which I told you not to eat?" "Yes, Lord, I ate from the tree, and I took the fruit from the woman you created for me." And the Lord said to the woman, "What is this you have done?" "Yes," spoke the woman, "I gave it to Adam and ate myself because of the serpent. He's the one." Then the Lord became angry and placed a curse on the serpent, saying, "All of the rest of your days you shall suffer, and they shall be spent, crawling on your belly over the earth and the soil." And to Adam he said, "Of the land of which you toil, thorns and thistles shall only sprout for you. And my Eve, as for you, I even have a curse for you too. See, your pains of childbearing shall be just as dreadful, and your husband will rule over you, no matter how stressful. Now listen to me, all of you. This is your curse. All of you should have taken some time to think about what you did first. And now that I see what the two of you have done, I do not feel as though I can ever trust you again. Neither you, my daughter Eve, nor even you, Adam, my son. And now that I see that you have taken from the knowledge of the good and bad tree, what if you take from the tree of life too, and have from it also a piece?" So the Lord God banished both Adam and Eve away from the garden, and they walked out from it on their feet. And as for the tree of life, the one of which God feared from next they'd eat, he guarded it with cherubim and a fiery sword to protect it from their greed.